Welcome to our lesson on how materials are cycled. The key questions for today are: what materials are cycled through the environment? Why is it important that materials are cycled? What processes occur during the cycling of these materials? What changes are occurring over time? What impact do these changes have? The key words you will need to know are carbon, respiration, photosynthesis, evaporation, precipitation. Some materials are cycled through our environment. This means that some compounds are changed by different organisms and non-living parts of the environment, but eventually end up as they were to begin with. One of these substances is carbon. Carbon provides the building blocks of all life on Earth, and it is cycled through the environment, then returned to provide the building blocks of future generations. Task: what processes carried out by living organisms involve carbon? Respiration and photosynthesis both include carbon. Respiration puts carbon into the atmosphere as carbon dioxide, a waste product produced when glucose is broken down for energy inside living cells. Photosynthesis takes carbon out of the atmosphere, using it as a component of the glucose made by plants as their food source. The carbon cycle is an ongoing cycle of carbon being taken from the atmosphere or soil and being put back into the atmosphere or soil. Let's start with photosynthesis. This process happens in green plants, and carbon is taken out of the atmosphere in the form of carbon dioxide. This is then used to make glucose. This glucose could be used up directly in the respiration of the plant, or it could become part of the biomass of the plant, which is then eaten by an animal. The animal respires, breaking down the glucose from the plant and re-releasing the carbon into the atmosphere. The carbon that is not released by respiration could be released as feces by the animal, or the animal itself could die. Both of these forms of organic waste can be broken down by decomposers, who respire and release carbon dioxide back into the atmosphere. Some waste may not decompose and may become fossil fuels. Millions of years later, this fuel could be burnt, again releasing the carbon dioxide into the atmosphere. The main parts of the carbon cycle are photosynthesis, respiration, and decay. But burning of fossil fuels is a significant contributor to the carbon dioxide levels in the atmosphere. Task: name 2 ways that carbon is returned to the atmosphere. Answer: respiration and combustion. Extension: explain the role of microorganisms in the carbon cycle. Microorganisms such as fungi and bacteria will cause the decay of organic waste. They respire as they break down the carbon-containing compounds, thus releasing carbon dioxide back into the atmosphere. Atmospheric carbon dioxide levels are rising, and this is linked to global warming, as carbon dioxide is a greenhouse gas. This can have many effects, such as climate change and the melting of sea ice. Task: try this AQA exam question. This question is about carbon. The graph shows the mass of carbon added to and removed from the atmosphere each year. A. Name process X. B. 1. Calculate the mass of carbon added to the atmosphere by respiration per year. 2. Some scientists are concerned that the mass of carbon in the atmosphere is changing. How does the data in the graph support this idea? And here are the answers. A. Photosynthesis is the process carried out by plants and algae. B. 1. 140. 2. 10 billion tonnes more carbon was added to the atmosphere than the amount that was removed. So the amount of carbon in the atmosphere has increased dramatically. Extension. Other than glucose, name a carbon compound found in plants. Carbon is present in proteins and fats as well as carbohydrates such as starch. Another material that is cycled through the environment is water. This occurs through the process of evaporation and precipitation. Water in the oceans and lakes is warmed by the sun until it evaporates. Once the water vapor cools, it condenses to form clouds. These move in the wind and are pushed higher by landforms such as mountains. This causes the water to condense into bigger droplets and eventually fall as rain. This is called precipitation. This water flows in streams and rivers back to the ocean where the whole process repeats. Task: why is the water cycle important to living organisms? Living organisms require fresh water, and this process provides that. It also distributes water over the land for these organisms. Plants also contribute to the water cycle as they lose water through their leaves in a process called transpiration.